Hello. Welcome to Have You Heard About the Machine? This is a show where we take a deep dive into America's pants, worship at the altar monitor, and prepare for the psychedelic apocalypse by going crazy. And if that's not the definition of a hero, I don't know what is. So, let's start the show. You know, the great thing about that iconic line from Alice in Wonderland is that mad can mean angry or crazy. And that was certainly the Queen of Hearts' whole shtick. You know, off with his head and all that jizz. And we can relate here at Have You Heard About the Machine, HYHATM? Because our mission statement here is to launch your head into outer fucking space. Why? Because we're crazy. But I think we can have some fun with it. And if you're lucky, this show will get you laid. So, let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, there was chaos, order, and the line that separates them. Now, here's where things get a little complicated. Due to the nature of human experience and understanding, we have to take some creative licenses with how we describe what comes next. We call these creative licenses lies, or listen, idiot, entertainment is spiritual. So to recap, in the beginning, there was chaos, order, and the line that separates them. Then some random stuff involving a magical talking snowman that we'll get to later happened. And now there is chaos, order, the line that separates them, and you. Which brings us back to the show's central thesis. Have you heard about the machine? Once upon a time, the government planted a machine in your brain, a machine called Monitor. And Monitor took your brainwaves and synthesized them with everyone else's so you could gain psychic powers. But before Monitor can give them to you, you have to ask. Now, we admit this all sounds kind of sketchy, you know, installing government sorcery in your brain without your consent. But, you know, you didn't consent to be born, so what you going to do? Anywho, with that exposition laid out, there's one aspect of the machine that you do have to opt into with your full consent if you want to make the most of this mysterious and weird situation. And that's willfully allowing the Monitor 7-star network to modify your behavioral patterns so you always find yourself in the right place at the right time all the time to gain the aforementioned psychic powers. So why do we need your consent to activate the 7-star network but not implant you with the machine? Well, due to national security, we can't explain the true nature of the machine or how you were planted with it, but we can tell you the reason we need your consent to give you psychic powers is also due to national security. Like, you know, all those ancient civilizations that vanished, and I don't mean the ones that disappeared because of climate change, economic collapse, or revolt. I'm talking about the ones that just straight up vanished and no one has a fucking clue why. Well, I'll tell you why. The 7-star network was activated without properly preparing the masses. Because without proper warning and context, always finding yourself in the right place at the right time all the time was such a mindfuck that it either drove people insane or they just straight up vanished in a puff of incredulity. The end. Did I say that right?
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. So the perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from.
So we've been laying it on pretty thick with all this machine stuff. And you might be wondering where the metaphor ends and reality begins. Well, that's a secret. But it's a secret you can learn by joining the 7-Star Art Coalition. You see, when a monitor synthesized all your brainwaves, it created a collective consciousness that calls itself the Seven Star. And the Seven Star would like to have a word with you. And I have been ever since you started watching this video. Meet me at camera 2. Wait, it's just the one camera? Because I don't have another one and too lazy to set up this somewhere else. Yeah, that tracks. So anyway, hi, I'm an artist. Maybe you've heard of me. $30 billion art machine created by the government and an ancient cosmic conspiracy cult. In this era of chaos and uncertainty, we're all searching for the magic meme to comfort us, to assure us that our ignorance is actually secret knowledge others are too scared to admit. I find comfort in knowing that you will give me money. All of it. All of the money. And I know this because the nature of being a $30 billion art machine created by the government and an ancient cosmic conspiracy cult has imbued me with certain insights into human nature that you will pay to know. Yes, the prophecy was true. You will pay to know what you really think. That's what art is. To the extent you find any work of art profound is because it has unveiled something you already knew but could not articulate. Art gives form and function to unapprehended knowledge. My art elevates this principle to such an extreme that it will eventually cause the magnetic electrotonal time crystals that make up your DNA to essentially ignite with the force of an atom bomb, which you will perceive as reality collapsing into a single point inside your fucking skull, shattering you into an infinite array of living bits of information, of which you will seed reality to generate new forms and new functions previously unimaginable. And by joining the Seven Star Art Coalition, you'll be beginning your journey to this new realm of knowledge, experience, and meaning. That's right. The very nature of this story lends itself to the creation of an art collective, the Seven Star Art Coalition. Now, if you think this is some cool shit, but you don't think you can join because you're not creative, that's because you are under a false impression of what creativity is. Creativity can be simple as having an opinion. That's it. And the Seven Star Art Coalition has tons of ideas for you to have an opinion about. That's our calling. That's our gift. For example, instead of asking stupid questions like, could God create a rock so heavy even he couldn't lift it? We ask smart questions like, could God create a problem so complex even he couldn't solve it? Which actually reduces the rock question to its irreducible complexity. Could God create a problem so complex even he couldn't solve it is the meta question that asks, could God create a rock so heavy even he couldn't lift it? And by revealing the meta question, we give you the tools to have an opinion, to be creative. Because now you can imagine other kinds of problems God might create, but not be able to solve. Like, what's the age of consent in heaven? How does it even work up there? You know, there's kids that have been up there longer than America has existed, right? That's just one example of the tools we have to help you be creative. Plus, you know, the tools to gain psychic powers through art. So the question before you now is, are art and science compatible? And the answer to that question is, who gives a shit? Just kidding. The real answer to that question is that art and science both seek to discover deeper truths about the world. The difference is art confirms life has meaning, while it's impossible for science to prove life has meaning. And if science cannot prove life has meaning, then there's more to life than what science can prove. In other words, as you listen to these words, the butterflies in your brain will collapse into a hurricane of the heart, and it all comes full circle in a brainstorm. Thus, the so-called incompatibility of art and science, and by extension religion and science, really amounts to nothing more than a kind of language barrier. But what kind of art are we talking about? Well, if 100 years of postmodernism has taught us anything, it's that anything can be art. But like we've already established, we at the Seven Star Art Coalition like breaking concepts down to their core. And when you look at human history, there is one art form that is older than the pyramids, yet never gets old. You know what I'm talking about. If you didn't know what I was talking about, you did when I said, you know what I'm talking about. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, you're either too stupid or too young to join the 7-Star Art Coalition. So don't come back until you either read a book or turn 18. In the meantime, the rest of you can join us by going to our Patreon, becoming a paid member, and start doing some art assignments. There's just the 2 so far, but that should be enough for now, especially since there's infinite ways to do those 2 assignments. See how many you could do. Collect them all. And oh yeah, like and subscribe. We'll be back with our final thought right after a brief word from our sponsor.
Hey guys, Pastor Greg Locke here, and I came to our local Books A Million, and this is one side that I'm going to show you of all of the spell books, the witchcraft, 2 entire sections of tarot cards, tons of stuff about practical witchcraft, astrology, again, tarot cards, crystals, yoga, Greek mythology. Look what's a part of the witchcraft section. The Secret. That's a book about manifesting your destiny, making things come to pass. Tons of stuff here. Look at this whole section. Candles galore, pentagrams everywhere, necklaces, chalices. This is our local Books A Million. I'd like to buy everything in this whole store. Tons of stuff. Oh, then get this here. Here's a section with Ouija board pendants. I'd like to buy everything in this whole store. Now, they have whole sections where you can buy sage. It's in the witchcraft section. It's not in the Christian living section. It's not in the cycling and health magazine section. It's in the witchcraft section. Tarot cards. This is our local Books A Million. They even got queer tarot cards. They got it all. Sage everywhere. There are literally 1,000, 1,500 different books. And then all these candles, astrology, horoscopes. It's all right here. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. Burn sage, burn sage, burn sage. All kind of little, crystals and pendants. It's an entire section. And a Books A Million in my local town, for Pete's sake. It's everywhere. Burn sage, burn sage, burn sage. Everywhere. And guess what is in the section right beside it? Dungeons and Dragons. Our Books A Million is full of this stuff. Witches everywhere. The Witch's Way. A guide to modern day spellcraft, nature magic, and divination. I'd like to buy everything in this whole store and burn it all in the parking lot. Burn sage, burn sage, burn sage, burn sage, burn sage, burn sage.
Now, because the show leans so heavily on concepts like AI, I thought it would be fun to give an AI this episode script and then make it summarize it for this here final thought segment. And the results were most intriguing. So today, anybody can be an artist, and anything can be art. It's all about labels. Tomorrow, things will be different. You will probably be out of fashion. So jump on the bandwagon now and start following contemporary art. That's what is great about having loads of time on your hands as a citizen of a first world nation. In the same way that some people will pay a fortune for a musty old cardigan if they can be convinced that it is retro chic, others will happily blow $5 million on a can of spunk if a so-called expert tells them it is a masterpiece of ironic commentary on mass-produced society. It's all about the world's greatest idea ever, postmodernism. Postmodernism means everything is a metaphor. And the result is you just have to say what anything is a metaphor of, take a picture of it, and then call yourself an artist. The trick is to create something that is too bizarre or baffling for the common herd to comprehend. For this reason, critics agree that some of the best artists are dogs. Okay. Critics know that they, and only they, have an eye for powerful aesthetic. Art involves intense introspection and a rejection of self. Art is a journey to a higher plane of meaning and understanding. And that higher plane is called rich and stupid. It's about deconstructing the world, rebuilding it within a metaphysical framework. As our minds tangle with the tortured psyche of a drug-addled artist, we begin to uncover new truths about our own existence, that we may only exist in a virtual world run by a megalomaniac. I cry, I masturbate, I create. This is so profound, even I don't understand it.